Good morning. It's a Sunday morning here in DuPont Circle, and that means farmers market. I'm starting my walk here today. Wanted to check out all the flowers. And then we'll head up to the block that we're going to take a good look at from an architectural perspective. It's 7:30, so folks are just getting set up here. This is, let's see, like between Massachusetts Avenue and 20th Street, a few blocks up, just steps from the DuPont Circle Metro. Hey, AWOL, good morning. Thank you for joining. Farmers market time. Woo. Now, here in Maryland, Washington, D.C., it's just a few weeks too early to plant. So if folks are picking up plants, here's a lot of kitchen herbs. You can have those in your kitchen, they're fine. But planting outside is a no-go for the next few weeks because we can still have a freeze. Apples. Good morning. Yeah, people who plant the non-hardy flowers right now, it just needs to wait a few more weeks. Good morning. Hi, good morning. Nice. Shepherd's Way Creamery. Where are you located?
We're in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Awesome.
About 45 minutes or about an hour and a half from here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
In Baltimore, the big, huge farmers market is under the I-83 highway overpass. Oh my gosh, and it's wonderful. This is a close second. Not as big as the one in Baltimore, but really nice. Take a quick run through here, and then we'll head up to the block that we're going to explore today. And then afterward, I'm going to come back down here for lunch. Oh, look at all the kitchen herbs. Hello, confused Arctic wolf. I am walking through the DuPont Circle neighborhood of Washington, D.C. on my way to do an architectural tour, a walking tour. And I've brought you all along with me. And this is the farmers market, the famous DuPont Circle farmers market. And they're getting set up. They start about 8 o'clock. It's 7:36. Oh, wow. Look at all this. Pickling cucumbers. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Where is this? Hi, Mad City. This is Washington, D.C. This is the DuPont Circle Farmers Market. So we're just traipsing through the market really quickly on our way to a walking tour. And this is the DuPont Circle Metro. So you just take the metro from anywhere in this area, and every Sunday morning, no matter what time of year, is the DuPont Circle Farmers Market. Now, I'm walking north on 20th Street, and they closed down the streets here. Here's the Virginia Oyster, the Virginia Oyster Company. This is one of those things I'm gonna trip. I'm telling you. Virginia Oyster Company, Smith Meadows Fresh Meat and Eggs, home cooked meal. Awesome. They're just getting set up. We'll come back down after we check out the architecture on the block that we're gonna look at today, which is the 17 squared block, meaning it's the 1700 block going east and west and the 1700 block going north and south. This is a great local coffee company, Zeke's Coffee. How long have you guys been in existence?
Since 2013.
2013. I found you guys about 5 years ago. Absolutely love it.
Awesome.
We love to support local business. Local. And Atwater's Bakery. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely coming back here. I don't know what this guy thinks he's doing. This street is not open. He'll find out. So this is Connecticut Avenue. And I think I walked down Connecticut Avenue on a prior stream. But this is one of those blocks where you will see a mix of architectural styles on this block. Now, that's not the block we're going to study today. We're going to go up and over a block or two and check out some former homes. This block here that we're looking at obviously originally was a mix of homes and businesses, but just a few blocks from here, it's mostly historic residential homes. I want to say good morning to everyone, and I will stop walking so fast and bumpy once we get up to the block that we're going to look at today. Hope everyone's having a great day. Tell me where you're from, Mad City and Confused Arctic Wolf. I live stream my little walks most Saturdays, or at least one Saturday or Sunday a week. I'll put it that way. And check out the tulips. Wonderful. What a mix of colors here. So here in the mid-Atlantic, the cherry blossoms are almost done. There are still a few. The dogwoods are still blossoming. Magnolia. And what's the other one with the bright white? Oh, the pear trees. So there's still plenty of spring blooms around. And I'm gonna walk just a little faster crossing streets, of course. Okay. So where we're headed today is a continuation of what we started last week on New Hampshire Avenue. And today we're going to take a look at the 17 by 17 block, meaning it's the 1700 block going east and west and the 1700 block going north and south. That's just a total coincidence. I picked the block and didn't realize it until I started to make my little notes, which you'll hear. So I do apologize if you're hearing paper, but I like to make notes. I use the DC History Quest website for my notes because it has live links to the historic property data. And that's what we're all about here. So we just have another block or two this way. So I walked north on 20th Street, turned right and crossed Connecticut Avenue. And now I'm continuing to walk east on R Street. Oh, and okay, this is not a building we planned on, but take a look at that beautiful entryway. This is 1904 R Street. Absolutely beautiful. Good morning. I love doors. Doors and window boxes. And this is 1902 R Street. Okay, these weren't on our list for today. We'll definitely come back and do a little bit of research. There. And there's one of my embassies across the street. Now, of course, I'm going to have to go over there. I think it's Sierra Leone. Let's see if I got that right. This was one of the very last essays I had that I had filmed. I don't know why, just coincidentally. Yep, Sierra Leone. So this is the Embassy of Sierra Leone in Washington, D.C. Here on 19th and R streets. Okay, let me move my notes. hope everyone's having a good morning. It's a little colder here than I thought. I did not stream yesterday because it was even darker than this. Very overcast, rainy, pretty miserable. Not good for filming. Now take a look at this one. Wow. Okay, we're getting detoured. We're getting distracted by beautiful architecture, but hey, that's why we're here. This is 1841 R Street. We'll do some study on that one. And then across the road here, I happened to be here when some renovation was completed inside the Embassy of Georgia. And I just happened to be doing a walk, and some workmen were cleaning up and they were being congratulated. And so I did make a video on that last day. So there's one of those, not sure, dogwood maybe? Not sure what tree that is, but quite beautiful. And then over here, we have some significant renovation going on. My work with the embassies will never be done because every time I think I've filmed all of them, and there are over 180 of them, something moves or changes. And over here, these weren't embassy buildings. I think one of them will become an embassy building. So as you can see, some significant renovation getting ready to happen on these two. The windows have already been removed. We'll see if they come back with architecturally correct windows. This is the International Student House. You can see the windows here. It has that feel of like you know, what I call the British boarding school feel. Those stained glass windows. And the crest above the door. All right. Yeah, but this isn't the block we're gonna, this isn't our block yet, because we're in the 1800 block. So quickly moving to the 1700 block here, where we shall begin our study on New Hampshire Avenue. Hi, OT456. We're in Washington, D.C. We are in one of the neighborhoods. I highly recommend, if anyone visits Washington, definitely check out the monuments and the memorials, but also take a walk off the beaten path into the neighborhoods, and you'll see, if you like architecture like I do, you'll see an amazing mix of architecture. Let's begin. We have the map. This building here, we'll walk around it and make sure we get a really good look at it. This is 1701 R Street. No, sorry, 1701 18th Street. It's probably both because this block is the 1700 block going both ways. But this is, I'm sorry, 1700 block, 1701 18th Street. This was built in 1905. It was designed by architects Hornblower and Marshall for W. Duncan McKim, who initially owned this building. Obviously, this was built as an apartment block, right? This was not built as a home. It's brick and stone, obviously, and it's built with a flat roof. So now, compared to others in the area, this one probably doesn't look too interesting. But for me, it's the mix of the design. From structure to structure that makes this area really interesting. Okay, be careful, crossover. So do want to take a really close look here at the gas lamps. Definitely a sucker for gas lamps. Really nice. All right, so that's 1701. Excuse me while I switch the papers around. 1701. Now we're walking north on 18th Street. And we'll cross back over. I'm gonna do some zigging and zagging. so that we can really appreciate these buildings. Looking carefully before I cross. And then we'll take a look at this block here. I think most of these were, as you can see, they share a common roof line. At least the three in the middle do. Actually, it's very symmetrical. So this entire block was built at the same time, and we know it was built in the same year. So we're looking at 1711 through 1719 on 18th Street. All of these buildings were built in 1901. They were designed by George Cooper for the developer Davidson and Davidson in 1901. The homes are brick and stone, as you can see, and the roof is tin covered in slate tile. So let's back up just a little bit and take a look at how all 5 of these buildings kind of come together, or 4. All right, so it's very pseudo-symmetrical, but with individual elements that are interesting. Hi, Onit. Yes, this is Washington, D.C. I'm currently on 18th Street Northwest, just east of DuPont Circle. So this building here, this is 1711 18th Street. It's a 3-story structure with a basement, with a tin and tile roof. But all of these structures were built together as individual units in one structure versus one larger structure, like a residence that was later divided. This was built as individual units in 1901. So now let's take a step into the street. So if we take a step and look at the one next door to it, which has a name, the Virginian. This one again, 3 stories plus basement. Completely different style. I do like the painted brick. It helps to set off each individual structure here, or individual residence within the larger structure, I should say. And I apologize today. It's spring and the pollen has happened. Now, DC is wonderful because there's a lot of green space and trees, but when you're trying to take a look at a building, sometimes the trees are in the way. So let's take a close look at 1715. Try to get a little closer and take a good look at the doorway here. And those leaf motifs around the doors are repeated on the other structures, but just a little different. As you can see on the Virginian, it goes around the entire transom over the door. But then on this one, 1715, it's just little bits around the windows. And then a nice bay window on the second floor. So this is the center of this structure, center of 5. Really well done. Now at 1717, you can see the medallion next to the door that indicates that this is a historic structure. It's probably for the entire set of row houses and not just that one, because they're all together. Walking backwards, trying not to get hit by a car. And then the end unit here, which is 1719, is larger. Well, not larger. I'd say, yeah, symmetrical with the one on the end. Symmetrical with 1711. All of these individual structures, one larger building, brick and stone with a tin roof and slate tiles. All right, so that is the west side of the 1700 block, as you can see here. If you can see the street sign where it says 18th Street and Riggs. We're at the 1700 block going north-south and the 1700 block going east-west. So we're at the kind kind of crisscross 17 by 17 block here. I didn't plan that. It just happened. Hey, Daryl! Daryl! Good morning. Check out some of the nice flowers here. We have our spring flowers in bloom everywhere in this area, but it's not time to plant outside yet. Not until May. Wait until May 15th, because there's always a chance of frost here. All right, so we're done with this block. Let's take a stroll down Riggs Place and take a look at the buildings here. And these streets are just off the main roads. This is just off of New Hampshire Avenue is down there. And but these smaller streets are very quiet, nice residential areas. Okay, hope everybody's doing well today. It's 4:53 a.m. yet, 7:53 here. Okay, now this block of 4 structures here, they were also built together at the same time. And well, not exactly, it took a while. They were begun in 1895, completed in 1897. And these were designed by M.C.F. Mars, architect. Well, this one on the end was. So let's go this way so we can see the difference. So if you look at these 3 here, they look alike. And this one looks a little odd. And I'm sure if we were looking from above, we would see how different this one is. So let's start with this one. This one was designed by M.C.F. Mars for an owner named George Watts. It's a brick structure with a tin and slate roof, completed in 1897. So this one was completed. This was the last one completed. You can also see near the door the medallion that distinguishes this as a historic structure in Washington, D.C. Now let's look at these 3 together. And what you can see is there's along the roof line, you probably can't see it, along the roof line is some common detail. It's like a kind of a scroll, kind of a fan scroll. Might be hard to see. And then above this window, kind of the pewter blue window on the second floor of this one, you can see ribbons and bows in a decorative feature there. These 3 together were designed by William Palmer and completed in 1895. So these 3 in 1895, this one in 1897. So this one here, the one we're looking at here, is 1742 Riggs Place. Brick and stone with a tile and tin roof. Now, tile, I'm sure, also means slate. So while this one said slate and tin roof, and this one said tin and tile, it's the same. The tile is slate. Now, if you could see at the very top, the finials are quite interesting. The finial on this one, it's really hard to see. It's a roaring lion. And the finial on this one is just kind of a globe with a design over it. Very interesting. The next one, again, also designed by Palmer for George Dowd, also 1895, concrete and brick with a tile roof. So you can clearly see not a slate roof. Might have been slate tile. Today, that's just plain old roofing material up there, not slate. As you can clearly see, the one next to it still has the slate tiles. This one has more modern roofing material. But this one, I really do like the wrought iron gate, great work around the windows. Pretty cool. I'm being extra careful here. This is one of those sidewalks. And this last one here, which is 1738 Riggs Place. Again, designed by William Palmer, concrete and brick for George Watts. So the two end units were owned by George Watts, and the two middle units owned by George Dowd. That gets confusing. Again, I like the painted brick. This unit kind of offsets and helps to see that these are individual homes and not just one great big row house structure. All right. I'm just going to cross across the street and take a look behind me at the entire row behind me. We'll take a look at this one on a different trip, but a wide variety of different colors here in these townhomes. Now this little structure here, this is the garage of another structure. So we're just going to walk around the block here. We're heading east on Riggs Place toward New Hampshire Avenue. And I am zigging and zagging so we can get the best views and also enjoy some of the beautiful flowers that have bloomed here. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Daryl, I know it's very early for you. Hope you have a great day ahead of you. Now this one, yeah, we're gonna take a good look at this one. Beautiful rustic brick structure, but I'm going to get to a safe place to cross the street. And now you're going to get a little hint across the street of where the Gilded Age meets Art Deco here on New Hampshire Avenue. So take a look at the Lyle Hotel, 1731 New Hampshire Avenue. Yeah, we'll take some time on that one on another video. But check out the entranceway. That is Deco at its finest. This one here as well. And the block south of here is the one that we looked at last week. So here, okay, and there's no traffic. I'm gonna go out in the traffic a little bit. We'll take a look at this one on the corner. I'm gonna come out here to get a really good view before these cars head here. But this one is an absolute beauty. This one was built in 1909. This is 1716 New Hampshire Avenue. Hi, Mystic Dreamer. I'm in Washington, D.C. I am north of DuPont Circle in one of the neighborhoods. And I highly encourage people to visit D.C. and visit all the monuments and memorials, but also to get out into the residential neighborhoods that are just a few steps away. Hi, Sam. I'm lying. Oh, okay. To each his own. I do think this is beautiful. This was built in 1909, designed by Clark Wagerman for Anne T. Van Buren Johnson. It is a bunch of people double parking right here. For Anne T. Van Buren Johnson. It's a brick and stone building with a slate and tin roof in the mansard style. So influenced by the Second Empire, the French architectural style that pops up here in Washington, D.C. And of course, what I love, and we've already seen this morning, is the complete mix of architectural design that makes up these neighborhoods here in Northwest Washington, D.C. There are very few blocks where it's, you know, cookie cutter buildings one after another. Each one is individual. And many of them are over 100 years old, for sure. So we'll take a good look at this one. Now I see notices on the window here. I wonder if it's undergoing renovation. Sometimes I like to find those buildings that are undergoing renovation and see if a window stays open or a door stays open, and I can kind of peek in to see inside. I'd love to see inside this one. Now the one next door, 1714 New Hampshire Avenue, was designed by Spiden and Spiden for Edmund Fox. It's a brick and stone structure with a flat tin roof. And today it is an embassy. And we're gonna have to cross over so I can see which one it is, because the next three are foreign missions. This is the embassy of, come on, Rwanda. Okay, so this building houses the embassy of Rwanda. But let's take a really good look at the wrought iron work around the door and the detail around the window above the door. Also has the bow front with a balcony above the second story window. Again, we love our trees in Washington, D.C., but they get in the way of pictures. Nice one. Next door, and you have to, I'll go very slowly to see all of the detail in the arch above these windows. This is the Embassy of Eswatini. This one was built, by the way, and this is 1712 New Hampshire Avenue. This was designed by T. Franklin Schneider, and he was the architect of some of the buildings we looked at last week. It was built for Clara Newman. It's a stone and brick structure, obviously. You can see the stone, with a tile and tin roof. Built in 1892. And it's a larger building for this area. It's probably the size of two other narrow townhome structures. Really interesting design. It's rounded. It has the windows in the rounded corners here. And this bank of windows, kind of a turret with a finial on top. We'll get a better look. We'll cross back over the street to get a better look. But this one has carved stone above the window with a lot of detail there. This one's interesting because the door is kind of what would be the basement level for some other structures here. So instead of having steps up to what looks like the second floor, which would be the first floor, similar to its neighbors, this one has the sunken entrance. Very nice. This next one is 1708 New Hampshire Avenue. It is currently the Embassy of Eritrea. It was designed by T.D. Fuller for Victor Kaufman. It's a brick and stone building. Actually, I'm seeing concrete, so the front must have been refaced because this is definitely concrete. And this one was completed in 1910. So let's jump back out into the street carefully and get a good view of this one. So it's a little more bland because of the concrete work, but still a beautiful building. And now the home of the Embassy of Eritrea. And then 1706, we're continuing to walk south on New Hampshire Avenue. 1706 here was designed by G. O. Totten for R. Golden Donaldson. It too is listed as a stone and brick building, but it too has concrete work on the front. So this may have been refaced at some point or not. I could be wrong. It has a tin roof And it was completed in 1913. And actually, this is very characteristic for that period. That, you know, post-Edwardian with the rounded windows. This has a nice balcony on the second floor with the French doors leading out to that balcony. AWOL says, interesting mix of styles, starting to wish I knew more architecture to get an idea. Yeah, you know, I'm learning as I go and trying to pay attention to all the small details, right? The more I look, the more interesting it becomes. And this area is great because not only you have the mix of architectural styles, but you get some flags going, a lot of green space. It's just, I wish I could afford to live here for sure. And then this block across the street, we'll take a look at that another time when we do another walk. I'm gonna just pull back here. All of a sudden there's no traffic, so I want to take advantage of that and get the full view of this block that we just looked at. And this is 17 by 17. Hi, Michelle, bonjour. It is cloudy today, but it's not as windy as it was when you joined me last week. So we're taking a look at architecture. We're on a walking tour, just coincidentally, of the 17 by 17 block. So this is, if you looked at a map grid of Washington, D.C., this would be a pure diagonal. This is the 17, try to get one of the street signs here. This is the 1700 block going north-south and the 1700 block going east-west. And we're gonna back up to get a good view of this corner. Here at the corner of 17 and 17. And we just walked south from Riggs Place. This is the corner of our street and New Hampshire Avenue. And this building was built in 1896. And we'll get a better view of it. We'll walk around. This was designed by McKim, Mead, and White. And we saw some of their work last week when we did a walk a few blocks south of here. It was built for Mrs. T.N. Page. Whoop. Okay, sorry about that. Dropped my phone. I was trying to look at my notes and I dropped my phone. It was built for Miss T.N. Page. It's a brick, stone, and iron structure with a copper roof. I wish we could see that copper roof. And again, it was completed in 1896. So we'll back up and see if we can see some of that roof. Because that would be pretty amazing. Keep backing up. Michelle, I hope you have a wonderful day today. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, you can't quite see. And I'm short. If I were 2 feet taller. So what I am seeing, I'm definitely seeing a slate tile. So that copper roof was tiled over because I'm seeing a slate tile over that roof for sure. While this building was built for Mrs. T.N. Page, I don't know if this was a single residence. We'll have to do a little bit of research on Mrs. Page because I'm wondering if this was built as a boarding house or an apartment building. It doesn't feel like a residence, but I could be wrong. And the reason I say it doesn't feel like a residence is just because all the windows are very similar. So it looks, I don't know, looks a little boring for me to be a residence. Like you see all these other residences, they have a mix, they have some bay windows, they have some different features. And this just looks kind of really boxy. So it could have been an apartment or not, might have been. So as we move, which way? Oh, and let's appreciate some of the spring happening around us for sure. Beautiful. Don't know what kind of tree this is, but it's beautiful. As we continue west, on R Street. This next building was built in 1893. It was designed by F.B. Pyle for Ms. Anna Whitehead. It's a brick and concrete structure. Now it says with a flat tin roof. Wrong. Might have been a flat tin roof, but that's definitely terracotta tile up there. So they may have added a layer, may have added a floor. I'm not sure. This is a very plain structure compared to the rest in this area. Next door to it, at 1763 R Street, this building was built in 1909. It was designed by M.C. Haggett for the Honorable George Edward Foss. So he must have been a judge or the mayor at the time. It is brick and stone with a flat tin roof. This one, I believe, is brick and stone with a flat tin roof for sure. Now this one here might also have a flat roof, but maybe the terracotta was added as a design after. It doesn't match, right? The terracotta tile doesn't go with brick. Not in this case. It's a clash. It's definitely a clash. And then the next structure here at 1765 R Street. This one was designed by Fred Piling for Isabella Teal. It's brick and stone with a flat tin roof, and it looks sort of similar to this one, but a little more ornamentation, right? It has the bow window design, and just a flourish there. You can see over the door, and an interesting little staircase here. And there's definitely some construction going on. And we're back to where we started. We're back to the corner of 18th and R Street, where we began with the building that was built in 1905 for Marshall W. Duncan. And now the sun's coming out. Great, now the skies are blue. Just as I'm wrapping up. And here's where we began. Wow. Well, it is a beautiful day in Washington. I think what I'm going to do is this concludes this block, but I'm going to continue to walk back down to the farmer's market. And I'll keep the stream going. And we can take a look at the buildings on the opposite side of the road from where we walked before. And appreciate all the spring. I know, right? The sky is blue now. So I'll come back and make my little shorts. So I'll have blue sky to make my little shorts. But I'll head down to the farmer's market. There should be more stuff out. This is the Jewish War Veterans Memorial and Museum. We're here in Washington, D.C. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Let us know where you're from in the chat. Please do like. And if walking tours interest you, please subscribe. I live stream every weekend, either on Saturday or Sunday. And also usually one weeknight from Washington. This is the International Students Home. I generally try to do some research about the buildings that we're looking at and the people who lived in them. And this is my way of just logging my research. I enjoy history and architecture, and I do instructional videos on another channel. and I teach. And so as I'm doing my research, I was making these logs, these short videos. Here's a close-up of the Embassy of Georgia that we passed earlier. And then I started live streaming, and I was shocked that people actually joined me. And I really appreciate it when you do. Daryl, you're my #1 fan, and I really appreciate you. Let's see what this piece of artwork is. This is a terracotta vessel used for the ancient Georgian traditional winemaking. Hello, still widely used today. It's a Cavalry. It's a Cavalry. The ancient tradition counting 8,000 vintages. Georgia, the cradle of wine. Well, learn something new every day. The Embassy of Georgia, here in Washington, D.C. Lovely. But yeah, we will definitely come back and do this block. This one here, 1841 R Street, is looking really interesting. So we'll definitely take a look at that one. But there are so many interesting buildings in this area. And again, I know I repeat myself. It's the mix of architectural styles that makes this area just a perfect area for a walking tour. You can learn so much about how people lived at different periods in history. There's a mix of homes and former businesses built from, let's walk down this way, from the 1700s, very late 1700s, through the 1800s, 1900s, all the way to today. Good morning. Now here's some federal style here, post-colonial. So when I do my research about this block, we're gonna find that these are probably the oldest on this block. And it's pretty obvious. Flat brick shutters. It's our traditional federal style houses, which you see much more commonly in the Georgetown area. Now I love this with the setback garden patio design. That's really nice. And across the street, you always get a few bold colors. You know, I like the blocks where you have one or two really light colored, like white or beige buildings, and then there's a dark blue, just vibrant, popping in the middle. And over here, look, I didn't even plan to come down this street. Had no idea. So over here in the middle of, we just saw federal style, and now we're gonna see a little mini Second Empire here in the middle of the block with that traditional mansard type roof. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And this one, we've got a half wrap porch. Yeah, we'll do more research on this block and we'll come back. It's a great weekend to get out when everything is blooming.